Hey folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the man cave. This is the radio rates and CG video on the DYNAM focke-wulf 190 version 3. Now, as I've been mentioning lately when I'm doing these new plane videos, I'm doing an unboxing video, and then I'm going out. Then if I do a build video, then I do a build video, and then I go out and fly the plane, perform the maiden, and then I come back and do this radio rates and CG. And that way, all the settings, the expo, the flap settings, throws, all that you'd find out about the plane, I have proven it. I've proven what flap mix works. I've shown what the expo and what the rates, how that all works and how it looks on the plane in an actual performance, not just by what the manual says. And that way I can come at you with proven information. That's just how I think it should be. So really this is, I've already flown the plane, actually one really long flight. The maiden went pretty long. Interesting note, DYNAM planes are very light. So they're not powerhouses, they're not super fast, but they're very light and they can fly a long time. Normally a warbird like this, an E-flight warbird with a almost 1.5 meter wingspan, you may get 3 minutes, 4 minutes out of it. This plane, maybe 5 with throttle management. This plane here, with throttle management, you could get 10 minutes of flying with a 4500 4S. It's a 4S. Don't even try a 3S in it. You won't even get it off the ground. And she's 4S and she flies scale. Not super fast, but you'll see the maiden, which I'll post right after this. She does get up and go enough for her. And I like using her as videos for a reference to planes because I think women are things of beauty and honor, and I think so are planes. So that's why I usually refer to them as her. I'm sorry if that offends people, but I'm not changing. Okay. Anyways, as you can see, I've got her on the Hobby King balance stand, plane balancer, which that's a whole new drama. Just keep for this plane balancer is only $14.95, but to find it for sale at Hobby King is like once a year they have it on sale for like a week and then they take it back down again. I don't know what the deal is. I was just lucky enough to snatch one when they had it available. So anyways, back to this plane. As you can see, she's balanced perfect. I've got the 4500 4S. I'll show you where it's at in just a second. The CG for the plane, since we're looking at CG right now, from the wing root, not just the wing edge, from the wing root, because the wing does kind of curve in a little bit. Where it touches, your CG is 75 to 75 millimeters back. Okay? So, now that you've seen she's balanced, get landing gears up. She's in flying formation, or in flying form. You can see that she's balanced. All right, to show you on top of the wing where that's at, you see this panel line here, follow in, and I've got that little black mark there. So you just look at that first panel line and put your finger on this side of the panel line, and that's where she CG's at. So let's go ahead and do that like you would at the field. Okay, there. Feel for that panel line, come forward just a touch, and she's pretty good right there. I think I'm maybe right behind it. Right about, your fingers have a natural, yeah, right there, just about perfect. She's not heavily wanting to go one way or the other. Now, to underneath the plane, if you look where the plastic wheel pant cover, there's that little corner right there. Little corner. That's where I got that black mark. So if you feel for that corner, that's where that's the same mark underneath. Okay, so you can just kind of feel for it. And she's pretty good right there. Now, the gear on this plane, this is their big thing about their version 3. Oh yeah, it's got a light there. They've greatly improved their retracts. Not necessarily the strut, but the motors are making it more reliable, making the DYNAM Retract actually go up and down like it's supposed to reliably. Now, they still have the same chicken wire, hard wire that's encased in plastic here. And so if you get too many rough landing, they will bend. But the motor, the Retract motors are now metal trunnions, and they're more reliable. I don't know what they did. The Hellcat is another one. That's their big thing now. They've greatly improved the reliability of their Retracts, which is huge because, like I've said in the main video, finding a DYNAM Retract, a DYNAM plane with reliable Retracts is like spotting Bigfoot riding unicorn. So now I've already bent this one gear, and I just had to just kind of manipulate it back and forth to get it to go back in there. Okay, so that's that. Now, as I built the plane, I did run into some problems. And like I said, with DYNAM planes, sometimes you just have to use your brain. Okay, and you got to figure a few things out. You put the wings together, put the carbon spar through there, fish the wires in the hole in the fuse, and yet you have to glue the wings together to get them nice and rigid. And then you got to glue in this black button right here, which has a nylon screw, and then 2 screws here. They have not improved that design as far as their hardware. Their screws and hardware are still pretty rinky-dink. I was very surprised that all of the control surfaces on the wing were already hooked up and ball link on them. Ball link on the elevator, but a traditional clevis on the rudder. Now I did have to, I disengaged all my control surfaces, put my hold the foam treatment in to just a real thin layer, too much and you'll actually damage the hinge. Okay, and I gave the entire plane a nice clear coat. Now I did, right off the bat, this servo was fried. It worked when I first gave it power, and then it did not work anymore from there. Yes, I could have reached out to DYNAM and said, hey, look, send me out a servo, and I'm sure they would have. But I've had so many supplies myself. Now, this wouldn't be your situation, but I have so many from crash planes and stuff that actually had the same servo. So I just pulled the old one out, put the new one in, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So I just didn't feel like fighting with them. Now, not that I would have to, but I just went ahead and replaced it. It didn't work. It just worked one time, and then that was it. So, okay, other than that, everything else went together really, really well. You do have to manipulate your clevises in and out to get everything trim, but that's part of normal. Plane looks good and flies really, really well, as you'll see in the Maiden. Decals, you do have to apply it, but DYNAM instructions are very simple. They give you a number and they show you where to put it on the plane, and then they give you a picture of it. So, you know, it's pretty well idiot proof. The prop was perfectly balanced. The ESC was perfectly calibrated. I mean, I had instant throttle response. I know I'm in the shop. Now, this motor, listen. Sounds okay, but when you get up, I don't want to go full speed, but it does have a little bit of a whine to it, a little bit of like a grinding sound. I didn't notice the plane getting hot. I didn't notice the motor getting hot, and everything was fine. I didn't notice any change in performance, so maybe it's just how that motor sounds. Make sure that. Now, I flew the plane. I did the initial Maiden with no gyro, just manual straight mode. And I never really took it out until the very end. I realized I made all the trimming and took off and landed 2 or 3 times. Never once did I engage AS3X, which I have. I have an AR631 installed in there. I did do the antenna mod, and what that is, it has a little bitty pin that you pull forward to pull this hatch off. Well, that's tiny, okay? So what I do is I'll poke a hole through a battery hatch, pull the zip tie through, lop it off, and then glue that in. I'll take that piece I lop off, I'll double it through the end of the zip tie. That way it's got a T to hold on to, and that way I've got something I can grab a hold of the hatch instead of using my fingernails, and that just eats up your paint. But to show you my setup, 4500 4S pushed all the way forward. The nice, you see these foam, it looks like teeth here. They're meant to be cut out so you could put a bigger battery if you wanted to put two 2S's in there side by side, however way you want to do it. You got plenty of room for that. The strap is just through the hole. Okay, it's just looped through there. So you can easily pull it out. What I did, so I can just show you real quick, is number one, it pulled right out. So then I had to fish it through, which is a pain in the butt. If you've ever had to do that, that is not easy to do. But I fished it through, and if you look, kind of see right up in there? What? Look at the end of the tip of my finger there. See that little white speck? That's actually that's a screw that I put through that Velcro strap. And that way that Velcro strap will not come undone, will not fish back through, and it helps to hold the battery. And it's just screwed right into the wood. And anytime you put a metal wood into screw, you reinforcement with a little bit of CA or glue, whichever your choice. Well, they're both glues. And that way it stays in there, and I don't have to worry about losing my strap again. That's my AR631 with the antenna going because it's a really long antenna all the way back. Absolutely no problem with range at all. All right, now let's go over to show you. Like I said, I put the rates that I chose, and I only have one rate. I don't even have new dual rates. I only got one rate, and that is 100% throws with 30% expo. So this is what that looks like on Aileron. There's 100% throws, 30% expo. Same on the rudder. Okay, same on the elevator. Now you think, well, that's not much on the elevator, but that is a pretty big elevator. Okay, I mean, at the whole surface, an awful lot of that is moving. And I actually had to put some down elevator whenever I flew it for the first time, because it was actually wanting to climb on me too much. So I had to put a little bit of, I think it was left aileron or right aileron, and a little bit of down elevator, and then after that she trimmed out just perfectly. My flap settings, let me just show you. And this is the interesting thing about this. No elevator to flap mix was needed. All right. There is takeoff flaps,
landing flaps,
and landing flaps. They are split flaps. Okay, which as it should be. Okay.
Takeoff flaps.
Takeoff,
Flaps
landing.
are up.
Flaps up. Okay. And that actually is my land on a spectrum now. Obviously, flaps up is a positive 100%. Takeoff was a negative 25, and landing is a negative 100. And I'll be honest, when I flew around with the landing flaps, and she flew even better. She flew even better with the landing flaps. I don't know why. Same thing with the Hellcat. She flies great with the landing flaps in. They don't come down very much. And that's fine. That's maximum. That's down as far as they're going to go. But those rates again, 100% up. Takeoff, negative 25. Landing, negative 100. With zero flat mix needed. I mean, I tried flying her. I didn't notice any difference when I put the landing flaps down and the takeoff flaps down. She didn't pitch up. She didn't dive. She stayed as if nothing happened. She slowed down a little bit. So, which is exactly what you're wanting a flap to do. All right, we've covered CG. Of course, I did all the audio stuff, but that's an entirely different subject. You do have to glue in these guns here. The longer ones go out, shorter ones go in. They give you 2 tubes of this wonderful little Chinese glue, put a little bit on there, shove them in. There's holes already there for them. And like I said, all the control surfaces already had the control arms on them except for the elevator and the rudder. The wing, well, basically the wing was done. You had to fish your, I know I'm back and forth on different subjects, but you had to fish this through here. And then on the other side, there's that, turn around here. There's a backing plate and the screws are poking through it. The exact same configuration on the elevator. You put the backing, the arm in, put the screws through, and there's a backing plate that those both screw into. I like to put just a drop of glue on those whenever I put them in to help reinforce what the screws are doing. 3 screws hold the spinner together, the front of the spinner. And you do have to put the prop adapter on the front of the motor, which requires 4 screws, and well, they come with it, and it's a 2mm hex drive that puts those 4 screws in. Clear coat and fluor. The light controller, you have several different options, just depending on how you trial and error, how you plug them in. You can have the wings, the wingtip lights, the nav lights, which are very, very bright, and you'll see in the Maiden on that dark morning, they shown up early this morning really, really well. And even that flashing tail or fuselage light showing up really, really well. But anyways, on the controller, you can pick whether you want them flashing or you want them constant. I like the nav lights to be constant, and any kind of indicator light like that one underneath, I like that to flash. And well, there you go. I can't think of anything else. We've covered CG, we covered the rates, we covered the flat settings. When you fly this plane, as you'll see in my Maiden, you want to take off like this, okay, allowing that tail to come up, and then when you get up to you'll be able to feel whenever you get to a certain speed, then she'll just lift. Then you'll just kind of lift a little bit of back pressure on the elevator, and she'll lift right up off the ground for you. Now, when you land, it's the exact same thing. You land like this. Don't try to plant the tail right off the bat, because then you're going to have a terrible bounce and a boo-boo, as you will see in the Maiden. You want to land like L warbirds. You want to bring it in on the mains and drive the plane that way for a little while, and slowly let that tail drop on its own. My first landing was not that great, and I ended up doing the nose skid thing, and that's what stopped it. But every other landing was actually good. It was like 4 more landings. The second landing had the right landing, but then this wheel caught the grass and caused her to tip up or whatever, and that's what bent that one gear. And then after that, every landing was textbook. Had like 3 or 4 more landings after that, and they were textbook warbirds. Came in, sat down on the mains, let it roll for a while, then let the tail settle in. Same thing as you do with a tricycle gear. You let the back gears hit, land, and then you let the nose settle. Same with warbird, up front, mains first, then let the tail drop naturally. All right, folks, thank you for watching. That is the DYNAM focke-wulf 190 version 3. I had the original version 1. It did not have flaps. It had regular linkages, and it did not have ball links. The retracts worked when they wanted to. I got to where I just left them down because I took the metal or the fake plastic, all this off of there, and just had the exposed wire to cut down the drag, and just left them down because I never knew when they were going to come up or down. Now they're up and down reliably. Watch me say this and they not do it. But I've cycled these gear, I don't know, probably 30 times now, and they have yet to fail. So, all right, folks, thank you for watching. This is Fat Guy Flies RC and DYNAM. If you'll just take the extra step now and give us a little bit better screws, a little bit better of how you put the plane together as far as like the attachment points. Things don't quite fit perfectly, but at the same time, that's part of the charm of DYNAM. And get away from long control rods or push cables activate things, or rods, because you lose so much. Put those servos are so light now. I was so surprised that they have the tail servo actually back there now. What operates the elevator is actually back there. They could do the same thing with a rudder, and we'd have a lot more better, more precise control. And because the servos are getting so light now, and you can do metal geared servos and be just as light and have them back there, and they're just easier to deal with. But it is what it is. You do have to, oh, that's another thing, reminds me. The tail wheel, okay, obviously it is linked to the rudder on a rod or on a control push rod that's inside, but you got to take the wing off to get to it. And they give you a little Allen wrench to attach it. There's a grub screw on the side. Be very careful with the attachment though. If you notice right there, I got that little metal collar there. That was not there. Just like on the Hellcat, they had just a little rinky-dink plastic pressure fitted cap on there. And when I was actually doing the range test in the driveway, I lost it and the wheel went flying off. So that's my own little linkage stopper I put on there just to hold the wheel on. And so DYNAM, that's one of your little areas, little things you need to improve on. Okay, that, and get away from this chicken wire and give us some nice suspension gear, you know, and that would be great. Other than that, other than the small, really little things, the plane flies great. It absolutely, you'll see it in the Maiden. It flies great, handles really well, has great presentation, looks really good in the air. I highly, highly, highly suggest with DYNAM planes getting, let me just show you the product. Everybody asks how I do my clear coats. All right, this right here is what you want. Okay, this is what you want. Min wax, that's water-based, clear gloss, or you can do satin, whichever you prefer. But I like the clear gloss. DYNAM planes, you gotta remember, foam is like a skin. Okay, you got to protect the skin. Okay, you need to put a clear coat on a DYNAM plane because the foam is so dry, literally dry. It just feels dry. You can put your hand on it, now your hand feels dry. It just sucks the moisture out of the air, and that's fine and dandy. However, that means your hinges and the surface dries out easily. The foam becomes brittle quicker than it should, and before long you're flying along and there goes your elevator, and now you have this flying boat anchor coming down to the ground, because that's all it's going to be good for now, or a paperweight. So you need to treat your hinges with a hold the foam treatment, which is this right here, hold the foam by Beacon. Again, all I'm doing is just taking a Q-tip and make extremely thin layer inside that hinge. Don't clump it, just a real thin layer. Okay, and give it the treatment. Number one, it makes it look good, but it'll help protect your foam from drying out and getting so brittle so quickly over time. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the DYNAM focke-wulf 190 version 3. Very impressed with the plane, and it's still got the good old DYNAM charm. You got to work at it to put it together, and you may have to work at it to trim it right. But once you get it going, and once you get it trimmed out, DYNAM planes can be some of the best flying and some of the strongest, most hardy planes. I have this old one. When I had the original one, I had that thing cartwheeled, bad landing. She cartwheeled, and there was just a tiniest little bit of crunch on the wingtips in the elevator, or I mean on the rudder. Motor mount was fine. Had that been a flight line or an E-flight plane, it would have crushed. No, it just cartwheeled and dusted off, picked it up, and took off and flew some more. Had it been any other kind of plane, probably would have destroyed it. But they're tough planes. You got to work at them, but they're tough. All right, folks. Well, thank you for watching. God bless y'all. Don't forget, faith, family, and friends. And then butcher birds. Bye-bye.